Bravo, bravo. Excellent. Fantastic. Really coming along. Okay, Bracha, this is really encouraging and exciting. Thank you for taking me up on what I said, making use of my of me asking you to redo the panning pictures. Excellent. These are great. These are great. We don't need to talk about this too much because you've really nailed it. Fantastic. Okay, thank you for doing that. I do appreciate that, and it's kind of cool, no? Okay, let's jump in. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you're doing this so well. It's so nice when you take these pictures, you manage to put down the camera. One sec, just to see how you shot this. Aperture, very good. You put down the camera and you've kept it in the exact same place, which means we can get a really clear demonstration of exactly what you're doing here. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. So your widest aperture, you're using a 135. It's a zoom. I can't remember what it is. It's like it goes from something to 135. I personally, if I were you, would still invest in the 50mm 1.8. You will love it. I guarantee you will love it. But anyway, as it is, you are shooting at your widest aperture here. This is widest 5.6. This is your f8 one. You can see here f8, and this is f22. And we can see that the background gets progressively. This is your widest. It gets progressively sharper. Okay, very good. And just like one of my sayings, I have lots and lots of little mottos. One of my mottos is, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing it in style. And I do hold that this is considered a homework done in style. So pat on the back for that. Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, let's jump forward. Here is your headshot. So I really meant the headshot should be shot in a portrait orientation. As it is, the truth is that this is actually a little bottom heavy, this shot. The eyes are too low down. What's the direction that our eye goes once we look at the eyes is downwards. So now we actually need some extra room here than we do on the top to give us a balanced feeling, a balanced experience of a face. So really what I was meaning for you was to be really in portrait orientation and cropping in close. You've cropped in close here, a little bit more to get this picture balanced. Do you see it's like a little bit kind of bottom heavy? Yeah, does that make sense? It's a little bottom heavy. That's because of what I was explaining, that the eyes are lower down and our eye moves downwards when we look at eyes, down to see the rest of the face, obviously. So it's a little bit crushed. So a little bit more room here. Yeah. Okay, this is our quarter shot. Don't get me wrong, this is a very beautiful picture. You have nailed the focus. You're in class 4. So the rules are, we've learned, what are the 4 rules to minimizing your depth of field? Number 1, zoom in all the way, which you have done. Number 2, widest aperture, which you have done. Number 3, getting as close to your subject as you can, which you have done. And number 4, get your subject far from the background, which you have done. And you have been blessed by Mother Nature with a, that's just because it's called physics, which Hashem put into the world. You have been blessed with a beautiful background, these beautiful bokeh balls. This is comparable to shooting with a 50mm up close. Okay, this is going to be a comparable kind of effect because, like I say always, which is contrary to what a lot of people know and believe, is that your focal length is more important to your depth of field than your aperture. Okay, so I'd rather be zoomed, but to be zoomed in at 135mm at 5.6 is probably quite comparable to being zoomed out at 50mm at 1.8. Yeah, at 1.8. Okay, great. So, like I said, I did have in mind that you were taking this picture in a portrait orientation, which you didn't. But you've just nailed a very beautiful picture. You've got a gorgeous expression here. The focus is about as sharp as it's going to get with this lens. Okay, it is not a quality lens what you're using. But I like it when people don't have quality equipment, because when they take amazing pictures, it's all that more exciting. Okay, we have beautifully adhered to the rule of thirds, which is a real rule. Third, third, third. Beautiful. Okay, good shot. And now our half picture. Again, I don't want to really criticize this because you're just doing really well and there's no need to. However, here we can actually crop in like this, which is more what I was thinking. Just like this. But the actual picture in its own right is very sensitively done. There is a slight issue with the way the hands are. Now, what happens, we've got a shape here like this. Now, do you notice that usually I just go like this and go around? However, because her hands are flat and pointing towards the edge of the canvas, whichever way you go, doing, it's not a massive one, it's not like doing, it doesn't go like that, but it does go doing. Okay, there is a little bit of a bang into the edge of the frame because, especially because her hands are going in this direction. Okay, that would be completely remedied if she was to be holding her hands something like that. Could you see that? If she was to be holding her hands something like that, or like this, or however it was, even folding her fingers, whatever it is, that would be that's not a nice way to hold hands. But this holding hands like this is causing a direction out of the frame, which doesn't work so well. The actual, in regards to being a half portrait, it is it's basically a half portrait, but the point is, what I really want to drive home here is that you have balanced this image very well. It's really nicely balanced. The light on her hair is beautiful. What are you shooting at? Your aperture priority. The light on her hair is beautiful. Her face could be a little bit brighter. You could do that in Lightroom. You've got good separation between the background and our subject. Great shot. Excellent, Bracha, excellent. Okay, this is now we into the portraits. We're into the photo shoot. Yes, we are. Okay. Good. You know what I really do? Although I love it when my students nail it, and they do nail it quite a lot, I do love that. But I also love it when students do something that's really wrong, and it's just so simple to see, and you just learn, and you learn from it. And I would much rather get things wrong and learn than get things right and not learn. Learning is the best. Learning is just excellent. Okay, so now in regards to the balance of this image, we have a good balance. Okay, moving this way, that's great. The background is very unimposing. It's got a lot of texture and color and just lots of like interesting shapes. That's great. Doesn't take away anything, it just adds. The issue with this picture is this arm. Again, like I always say, are we allowed to cut off arms and legs or feet and hands? The answer is yes. The question is, are we allowed to break lines and shapes? The answer is no. So we have a line, although we're moving this way generally, we have a line, bang, boom, bang. You with me? That is a bang. That's not just a sticking point, that is actually a bang. See? That needs to be remedied. How could that be remedied? In a whole bunch of ways. Be giving more room, having his whole hand in there by him folding his arms, a hand on his hip or in his pockets, or however it is. It could be remedied in a lot of ways, but that is not adding, and it is only detracting from this picture. That needs to be needed to be fixed. Okay, good. Now that wasn't the part that I was talking about to be worked out. This is the shot that we're going to learn something great from. Okay, but now here we have this is really good, this is really positive stuff. We've got, I'm not going to talk too much about stats, because we are still in class 4. Really, stats become really the issue in class 5. However, I do want to mention to you, you should be zoomed in all the way. However, I do realise that with a 135mm lens, especially on your camera, a crop frame camera, you are having to walk back miles to get these pictures, which is annoying. I do understand that. Okay, so you should have been, the rules are, like we said, zoom in all the way, widest aperture, in close, subject far from background. You aren't zoomed in all the way, but I do understand that with your lens that is basically very, very impractical. We've got a beautiful triangle over here. Cha-ching. This is great. We've got great eye contact with our subjects. We've got good distinction, a good a good separation between our background and our subject. It's great. The light on their faces is messy, okay, but it could be there wasn't that much to do about that in this situation. You've created just using the green of the grass has created a very a very undistracting, if that's a word, undistracting, vibrant background. It's great. This is great. I love it. I love this picture. Okay, now this picture, forgetting about the drool, which is cute, kind of, is what we call very, very messy light. Okay, this is super ugly, messy light, and all it does is detract from the beauty of your subject. Okay, you see this shadow, you see his head, the front of his head bulges over, so we've got, he's kind of in shade. I can see he's like under a tree or something, so you've got dappled light falling on his head. That isn't the worst idea, but definitely isn't the best idea. However, you've got this front part of his head in good sunlight, and then obviously his face here, his cheeks and his nose is popping out, which means this is also in bright light. We have these horrible, horrible shadows here, and then we've got all of these horrible shadows over here. He needed to be in stronger shade. Okay, it was a nice shot. It was a really nice try. The stats are terrible. Okay, I hate to say that so starkly, but we're not talking about the stats right now. But you should remember that a 1/25th of a second is completely unacceptable. Remember the last class that you did, class 3, where we said that really you want to be getting to something like a 200th of a second, 250th of a second. So in this case, your aperture is very, very small, your f/22, which means you could have opened your aperture much, 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 much more, and that means you could have had a much, much quicker shutter speed. So the truth is, it's kind of a miracle that this picture is so sharp as it is with such a shutter speed. Pardon me. You can see it's interesting because we've started to get these little, see these little like starbursts? That's because you're using a super, super small depth of field. But anyway, the actual, what is good is that you've actually got a great composition. You've got a very sensitive eye, a sensitive mind to the, a sensitive palette, I should say, to the composition, which is a foundation of everything. Just now, get straight on the technical side of things and start learning to taste the light, to feel the light. Great. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is really the next picture of this. Technically, it's basically the same as this shot here, so I'm not going to get too into it. Not a nice moment. It looks like, I don't know, it looks like he's fainting or something. It's a cute, like, it's cute. This is cute, but that isn't cute. Technically, again, we've got this nice triangle over here. We've got this very, what's the word? I forgot again. A very undistracting background. Again, like we said, if that's a real word, an undistracting background. The light is coming. The light is coming from a nice place. You've got good separation between background and foreground. Okay. So now again, I would love for you to have gotten eye contact with this picture. This is definitely a better picture. Do you see the difference here? Even though we've still got the light, it's on a much lower level, so it hasn't created such a problem. But if we had had eye contact, it would have been better. I would, for this kind of picture, I would literally be lying down on my stomach taking the picture. I would be at his eye level, even lower maybe, and that would give a very kind of interesting feel. Right now I can see that you're kneeling down and you're down low, but like I said, I would actually be lying. I would be trying to get lower down on the floor. I really would. Okay, just again, a strong triangle, and like we said before, a very undistracting background, lots of vibrant feel here. The grass in itself just has a lot of vibrancy, the fact that it's dynamic vibrancy, the fact that it's lots of vertical lines. Okay, let's take, so because this I think is my favourite shot. Let's take this shot into Lightroom and see what we can do with it. Okay, so I would, first things first is I need to lighten her face up a little bit. Let's get rid of auto mask and lighten her face. That's too much. I think that is what we want to do. Okay, now I'm going to do something a little bit out of the box. Firstly, I want to darken this a little bit. I don't want this blue here. We'll take the blue out in a different way. 1 second. I want to darken this. Let me create a new one here. I'm going to actually overexpose her arms a little bit and desaturate. And then do the same over here. Oh, don't want to do that. 1 second, let's just get rid of this. Okay, and I'm actually going to take a little bit away from here. 1 second. Okay, now what I want to do, I'm going to use a new brush, and I'm going to use what I call my Magic Hour brush tool. And I'm going to do this. We're going to go for a whole different look of this picture. Even to go over her hair a little bit is not a problem. It really is not a problem. This brush, if we look here, the clarity is all the way down, exposure's up, sharpness is down, and we've added a color tint of 32. This is really a heavy edit, okay? This is we're not messing around here. We're not taking any prisoners. 1 second, let's just do this all the way around. Great, and then we're going to do something really cool as well. 1 second. In a minute, you're going to love this. We're going to add a new, we're going to add a radial tool here. We're going to draw this out. Let's press H so you can see what we're doing. Okay, and now I'm going to put this up big time. Now we've got this kind of like crazy like explosion of light coming in, which I love to do in the right image where it fits. I do love to do that. I'm going to just I'm going to also turn this into a brush for a minute, and I'm going to put my flow down. I'm going to just do that over here just to balance things up a little bit. I do want to take a little bit of this red off of her face. So we go back to my brush, press H so we can see the brush points. Yeah, I'm going to click, I'm going to erase. I just want to get rid of a little bit of that off of her hair. That's it. Okay, now I'm going to just pop out her eyes. It sounds so bad, but I'm meaning it in a purely like photographic way. Oh, 1 second, wait, this is crazy. I want to go to Iris Enhance. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, that sounds terrible. I want to pop out her eyes. I don't want to pop out her eyes at all. I want to add some. There we go. We could patch get around a bit more, but I don't think we need to. Let's have a look. Look at the difference from that, which was a nice shot. It really was balanced. It's a beautiful, balanced, lovely, clean, sharp image, to that, which is just a little bit, just taking it those few steps further and really using Lightroom to, I think, not too far from its fullest. I think I'm going to move this a teeny little bit. 1 second. There we go. And again, let's just have a look from here to here, from here to here. Excellent. Okay, Bracha, really, bravo. Looking forward to seeing what you do for us next week.